Hey guys, welcome to Pistons Talk post game recap. Your Detroit Pistons just got done playing the Golden State Warriors. I think I scheduled this live stream podcast at 10:35. I do apologize. We're just coming on now at 10:52. Didn't expect the game to, go 20 minutes over. So I do apologize for any of you guys that may have been waiting in the live stream chat, but we're going to get into this game. I don't want to waste too much of your time, maybe 10, 15 minutes at the most, but um, we can get into the first quarter. Warriors dropped 31 points. Um, the first quarter to me, I don't really think was too bad for a good 6 minutes. I thought that they were competing, they were keeping pace with the Warriors. You saw a starting lineup of Cade, Ivy, Malik Beasley, Tobias Harris, and Jalen Duren, which that was brand new. Don't know if they're going to keep experimenting with that, but that was the starting lineup. Really curious why Simone Fontecchio hasn't been in the starting lineup since Tobias Harris has been back. Maybe we'll see it on Wednesday against the Cavs, but that was the starting lineup. Just some positive things, and then we can kind of get into like why this game just went off the rails because we're going to talk about it. I thought Duran showed me some stuff protecting the rim, trying to bother shots, and he was getting some weak side help with players tonight. Did have a really nice block in the first quarter protecting the rim, and he was active. That was one positive that I saw. Jaden Ivy again. Jaden Ivy has just been, I think, the biggest bright spot in my opinion so far in preseason. He finished with 19 points tonight, but those were kind of the positives. So we're gonna get into like why this game just went off the rails in the first quarter. Obviously, they end the first quarter. Warriors dropped 31 points. Pistons only had 17. You go into the second quarter, and the Golden State Warriors just could not miss a damn three-pointer. Looking at the box score, they hit 18 three-pointers tonight. Anytime you hit 18 three-pointers, pretty good chance you're going to win the basketball game. And I thought what happened in the second quarter and what lost them the game ultimately was just the bad passing, the nonchalant passing. Like the passing tonight, I thought is what lost us the game because the bad passing turned into over 15 turnovers tonight. When you talk about them hitting 18 threes, you turn the ball over 15 times. The passing I thought was really lazy. There were multiple plays where, whether it was Cade, whether it was Ron Holland had one tonight, they were just like trying to get the ball to the post to Stu or Duran, but they were just like really nonchalant passes. I really thought that the passing tonight wasn't crisp, like it's been in the victories we've seen with the Pistons in the preseason. I thought the passing was just like not like it was just lazy in my opinion. I thought that's what really just opened this game. Warriors dropped another 30 points. It was 60-41 at halftime. The fact that the Pistons got it to under 20 points at halftime, I thought was actually a miracle in my opinion because the Warriors were just playing such good basketball and making a lot of their three-pointers. And granted, without Steph Curry and Draymond Green, they did not play tonight. And the Warriors still dropped 60 on the Pistons at halftime. Getting into the third quarter, the one thing I saw when they came out of halftime, the lack of energy on the glass, the rebounding tonight was just poor in my opinion. They weren't going up for rebounds. They were actually letting the Warriors just grab any rebound they really wanted. I mean, you can look at the box score tonight. The Warriors just out rebounded the Pistons, and just watching the game, they were just kind of standing there, like they're just letting the Warriors get the rebounds. And I thought the rebounding to me was really eye opening. Coming out of halftime, watching the third quarter. And that's really the only note I took down with the third quarter. There wasn't really anything positive that I saw from the Pistons. Obviously, they tried to battle back in the game. I think they got it close to like maybe a 14-point lead, but the Warriors basically kept their foot on the gas. They kept hitting threes, but they ended the third quarter 86-69. And going into the fourth quarter, like the fourth quarter, you guys, JB took 2 timeouts to just chew these guys out, just get in their face. You could tell he was not happy with the effort tonight. You could tell he was very upset. There was a play, I believe, in the third quarter where they're taking the ball up the court and they're so lackadaisical. He's like telling them to come on, push the pace, push the pace, push the pace, and they're just not. The energy tonight was just very, very low. I don't know if they went out, partying out in Cali or they got in California late. Not making excuses for them, but JB was very, very upset with the effort tonight, and I guarantee you the practice when they get to Cleveland is going to be a very, very long practice because that type of effort was the type of effort that we saw last season where you maybe get a good quarter out of them and then the rest of the game it was just bad. But I think this is a game for the Detroit Pistons to not even watch the film, burn the tape, refocus. You have one more preseason game this Wednesday against the Cleveland Cavaliers, JB Bickerstaff's old team, and just fix all the bad kinks from tonight's game and the Phoenix game that they've lost so far in the preseason. But that's all I really had were all the four quarter notes. Obviously, your Detroit Pistons lose 111-93 was the final score, but what I want to do with you guys is I do see you guys commenting about the game. We'll get to some comments and then just wrap this podcast up. And I'm probably going to call it a night. Really long day for me. Watching the Lions working and then watching this game and then doing a podcast with you guys. But do want to get into some of the comments that you guys are leaving. Mega Hustle left a comment saying Bickerstaff still held the team accountable despite the loss. Something we haven't seen from Monty. Yeah, I agree. You definitely saw it in the timeouts. He was not happy with them. He was getting in their face. He was chewing them out. That's something that we didn't see last year, and I think it's needed. To your point, Mega Hustle, like you didn't see it last year. I think it's needed for a young team like this. It's going to have their ups and downs. But I did notice that he like in the fourth quarter, if you guys can go back and watch it, he had to take 2 separate timeouts just to yell at these guys for their lack of effort tonight. And I guarantee you, the post game speech in the locker room wasn't positive. It was probably short and sweet. Probably told them, get ready for practice when we get into Cleveland because it's going to be a long one. It's a lot of stuff. I'm sure he wants to just tell these guys like tonight's effort was just unacceptable. Because you look at the starting lineup, we had a majority of our players. The only player that hasn't played so far in the preseason is Bobby Klippman. And we don't even know like how deep he's going to be in the rotation. I mean, you had Tobias, you had Cade, you had Ivy, you had Duran. The effort tonight, I think, was just inexcusable in my opinion. Game Nuts. Warriors have been playing really good in the preseason, so I wouldn't be too discouraged. Yes, we got curb stomped by their bench, which is bad, but we played poorly overall, so it is what it is. Yeah, the Warriors are, I believe they're undefeated in the preseason, 4-0. I do agree with you. They're a pretty deep team. I think this is a team that is probably going to go pretty far in the Western Conference. But at the end of the day, yes, they're a good team. They're a good basketball team. We understand that. But I thought the effort tonight just wasn't there. They were taking plays off defensively, really lazy passes, not closing out on like 3-point shooters like Buddy Hield, which that should be in the scouting report. Like everyone knows what a 3-point sniper Buddy Hield is. It's just the little things that you look at when you watch tonight's game, and you don't want that forming into bad habits going into the season, in my opinion, anyways. But that's just what I saw. I mean, there were more negatives tonight than there were positives to talk about, but I still think that just flush this game. Don't even watch the tape. Just focus on the Cavs for Wednesday. Got a question or a comment rather from Nuggies. He says Ivy shot is legit. Too many turnovers, but he's been the bright spot every game so far. Still don't understand how he was the only starter to make a three. Yeah, you look at the box score for the Pistons. They shot a lot of threes, but didn't make too many of them. And I do agree with you. I think to me, Jaden Ivy has been the bright spot in my opinion. I think Jaden Ivy has been the MVP of these preseason games so far. Granted, we only have 4 preseason games, but Jaden Ivy has been the most consistent player so far through the preseason. Really intrigued to see if he can kind of carry over this success into the regular season because you got Cade, you got Tobias. Like, can Jaden Ivy turn into that maybe second, third option on this team going into the season? Those are the kind of storylines that I'm sure you guys will be paying attention to, and I'll be paying attention to as well. Really encouraged what I've seen out of Jaden Ivy so far in these first couple of preseason games. GFAR 32 wins this year, still missing a lot. I got into I know this is completely off topic. I got into a debate with a beat reporter. I'm not going to name who it was, but I the more I watch this team, it's like the highs are really high, but the lows are really low. I'm actually under 30 wins right now, and that's okay because I want to be proven wrong. I got them between like 27, maybe 28 at the most, because I think there are a lot of things that they don't do well right now, and that's okay. They're a young team. That's why you brought in a guy like JB Bickerstaff and you brought in a lot of development coaches to help them get better. But if they're winning 30 games, I think Kate Cunningham has to at least be in the top 20 player discussion. That's the type of leap you would have to take. Not to say that he can't do it or make it, but I think 30 wins is asking a whole lot of this team when they only won 14 the year before. And granted, that was Monty Williams, and kind of like his give a crap level is pretty low. But I would love to be proven wrong. If they win 32 games, I'll give you your flowers, GFAR. But um, I don't know. I'm finding really hard for me to buy into 30 wins with this team. Tim Hardaway Jr. is broke us out. Yeah, I saw a stat. I think someone said he's like almost 1 for 20 from three. And I kind of told you guys, like, Tim Hardaway's highs, like the games, like I'm sure he'll have a game this year where he just can't miss from three. But his lows, like this is the low right now for Tim Hardaway Jr. This is like the type of games that you're going to see out of him. He's going to take a lot of shots and they might not go in, but like he's just not a consistent player. Um, and I'm glad we're kind of witnessing like the lows right now, because if he does kind of suck you back in and has a good game, um, maybe he's not getting like the consistent minutes that he's getting in the preseason, but I don't really think he's like making a case to get high minutes in the rotation, just given the lack of shots that he's not making so far in the preseason. But we'll have to wait and see. Matt Ryan, who Trajan Langdon is actually pretty familiar with, he's on waivers right now. Really high volume 3-point shooter, shot 45% from three. That's a player I'd keep an eye on. You never really know. Maybe Trajan Langdon wants to bring him back to Detroit, but we're gonna have to wait and see. But yeah, T8 Tim Hardaway Jr. He's had a really tough preseason so far. I'm not even gonna like deny that. I think all you guys watching, like, someone said he's basically just Alec Burks. All he does is shoot. He doesn't pass, and like I can't even like deny that, because that's all the man has done so far is shoot. But I'm hoping he can pick up, be a little bit more productive this year, because we need him to be. Question for Organic Lindell Tobias looked like he wasn't even in the same league as Kuminga. Jonathan Kuminga's gonna be a really good player. I think you saw it last year if you did tune into some Warrior games. Warriors got a really, really good player in Jonathan Kuminga. I think he's their future centerpiece that they're probably going to build around. Like, he has two-way superstar potential. Like, Jonathan Kuminga is just going to be a great forward. But to your point, Organic, yeah, Tobias had a really hard time backing down Jonathan Kuminga tonight. Jonathan Kuminga is a very strong forward. I was really high on him coming out of the draft. But yeah, Tobias had a really hard time going up against Jonathan Kuminga. But don't sleep. And like, if you guys haven't done a fantasy draft, like I would take a look at Kuminga this year. You never know, kind of like a buy low guy. Golden State made a lot of threes and they're dangerous. Yeah, 100%. You make 18 threes and Pistons not playing any defense. Yeah, and you turn the ball over, definitely going to lose the game. Do a couple more of these comments, and I'm probably going to wrap up this podcast again. You guys don't want to waste too much of your time. We're probably going to do a longer form podcast next week. I couldn't confirm a guest yesterday, so I just said, screw it, take a week off. But we'll probably do a longer form podcast, kind of just like recapping the preseason when it does end. Probably have it towards the end of the weekend, maybe like Friday, Saturday, depending on who I can schedule in as a guest. But for the most part, I think this is just a game that we should probably flush because Golden State just got hot from three and they couldn't miss tonight. But we'll do maybe one or two more comments and then we'll just wrap this pod up and let's call it a night. Just a comment from Johnny. I'm shooting for the moon for 30 wins and possibly playing. This team should be competing for championships, not competing for losing streaks or competing for the bottom record. You're 100% right, Johnny. The standard for the Detroit Pistons was always competing for championships. I agree with you. I just think we should temper our expectations because if we don't get to 30 wins, you guys are going to be pissed off, upset. I'm not saying that, the play-in shouldn't be the goal. I think it should be. But if they don't make the play-in, we can point to reasons why they didn't make the play-in. I still think this is a team on paper that is 100% better than last year. You have competent NBA players. You have a head coach that is staggering Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivy. If they win 30 games and they're competing for that play-in spot, I think that's progress. They're not going to win 14 games this year. They're just not. They're going to improve in the win column, and that is something that I think a lot of us want them to do. Since this rebuild has happened, it's kind of been like a escalator, up, down, but it's been more down than up lately. But I agree with you. The standard with the Detroit Pistons of years past, before Tom Gores bought the team, was competing for championships, making deep playoff runs. But that really hasn't been the case since Tom Gores has purchased the team. And that happens when, new owners buy the team. They want to get rid of all the, old guys that were in the organization, bring in their guys. And Tom Gores is, I think, kind of learning that, you need good basketball minds to be a successful team. And here's hoping that Trajan Langdon and company can turn this around. We'll do one more question or comment, but again, I don't want to take up too much of your time. Here we go. Mega Hustle. Last comment of the podcast, and then we're going to wrap it up. I would love a Tigers type season from the Pistons. Man, wouldn't we all? Tigers having a 0.2% chance of making the playoffs, going on this historic run towards the end of the season and making the playoffs. Yeah, I think any Piston fan would absolutely love that. What the Tigers did was nothing short of just like insane, like absolutely insane. But they made it to the playoffs. They had a pretty deep run. Obviously, they did lose to the Guardians in the ALDS, but they had a really, really good season. Tarek Skubal, best pitcher in baseball. Like, really loved what I saw out of the Tigers. I'm hoping the Pistons can be that next Detroit team, Mega Hustle, to take that step to compete for a playoff spot like the Tigers did. I think you have the right coach. You have a new president of basketball operations that understands what he has to do in terms of team building. But I'm not going to never say never, right? You never know. These young players like Jaden Ivy, Cade, when we get a Sar back, Ron Holland, like they could take steps in development. You brought in Fred Vincent, who I think has really helped Jaden Ivy's shot and his development. And we're only in the preseason, and this guy looks like he's going to be close to a 20-point per game scorer. That would be huge for the Pistons. But I'm really excited to see what happens this season, you guys. Obviously, these are just preseason games. You don't want to get too high. You don't want to get too low in terms of just reacting to these. But this is something that I want to do with you guys all season long. I want to do these post game reactions, talk about the quarters, do these like Q&As, or just react to your guys' comments after every game. But we've been on for 20 minutes. I do want to wrap this up. Appreciate you guys watching for the last 20 minutes, and just your appreciation for me doing these all preseason. I've been getting like a lot of positive comments from you guys in the comment section. Really nice comments just across social media, and I do appreciate you guys. But again, your Detroit Pistons lose to the Golden State Warriors tonight. 111-93 was the final score. We'll see you guys Wednesday when the Pistons play JB Bickerstaff's old team, the Cleveland Cavaliers, and we'll be doing a post-game show then. But until next time, you guys, peace.